Welcome to Angelo's Tennis, and I want to tell the story of how I started my own tennis club, at least part of the story. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy some of my content. Getting close to 1,000 subscribers, and if I can get to 1,000, I can continue to make those tournament videos and travel to those tournaments for the rest of 2025. So I was at a point where I felt like I exhausted tennis or my learning in tennis in this area, and I was ready to leave. I was ready to go. I was thinking I got to go to Florida. I got to go to Georgia, somewhere else where tennis is more popular. And I did eventually move out of the area, but before I did that, I looked up this player in the area. He was a famous player. He played for NC State. I'll put his he was a 5-star recruit on tennisrecruiting.net, and I'll put that up on the screen there. And him, and I think it's his brother, own a tennis club in the area as well. And I looked him up, and I went and scheduled a lesson, or an hour and a half lesson with him, but not a lesson, but an hour and a half to play with him. And I wanted to play a match, kind of a test my level, because I was kind of in a period where I really wasn't sure how good I was. And I signed up to do this lesson, so I went to his, on my way to his club, which I'll get into. I saw a warehouse for rent, and took down the number, called, and I eventually rented that. It wasn't a warehouse. It used to be. It was a storage place, and part of the storage place was an indoor soccer facility that the family ran for a while as an indoor soccer league business. And they decided to stop doing it. They put the building up for rent, and then I rented it for around $3,400 a month. And I put a surface in. It was an indoor soccer carpet surface. It looked like just a giant, well, I guess an indoor soccer arena or an indoor hockey rink. And I put the tennis court in. It cost about 10 grand. And the reason why that worked is because I already had a book of lessons nearby that I could try to bring my lessons there, and that covered the bill, at least in the beginning. And then I hustled like crazy for 2 years to eventually peak, where I believe the highest I made after 2 years during peak winter season, so in the second winter, was around $11,000 gross in that January. So it would have been December, January, February. The winter months I made over $11,000, and which I thought was pretty good. It wasn't like really was a big experiment. I wasn't trying to make a huge profit, but I'm going to come back to that because there was some things, some interesting things about that story as well. So on my way to this club, I saw that place for rent, went and played this guy, and I lost 6-3, 6-3. And this was old Angelo, skinny, 120 pounds or 125 pounds. I wasn't yet in my full-blown eating disorder phase. I was pretty strong. I was very fast. And I really took it to this guy. Kind of felt bad. Because this guy was doing 50. He had to be doing 50 hours a lesson, 50 hours a week in lessons at the time, and just really grinding it out. And I think he had a lesson before me. He had a lesson after me, and I just came in there and really took it to him. It cost me I think it was like $100 for an hour and a half, which I was glad to pay. And he, the big thing I noticed, if I remember correctly, was he definitely had more. You could tell he was more experienced than me, but he's also a lot bigger than me. I mean, this guy had to have at least 75 pounds on me. I mean, he's in pretty good shape, but he wasn't, he had to be 200 pounds or more. and he just sat back there, big, spinny topspin serve, like I talk about in this channel. I wouldn't call him a topspin, or I know he could be more aggressive, but I wouldn't call him a topspin pusher, because what I remember specifically, one of the main things he did was he was moving me side to side, but he was hitting the tee on the sideline. He was literally close to the sideline on every shot. It was making me run as far as I could and just spinning it from side to side. And that was his main, once we got into the rally, I'd say that, and then the serve was at that point in my tennis career or playing days. Back then, it was hard for me to make a good play on that return because it was bouncing the ball was bouncing so high to my backhand, and at the time that was something I really didn't see that often. So those were the two things that really got me. And I remember him saying to me, or I asked him how I can improve my competitive level. I feel like I'm not. I remember saying I feel like I'm not competitive enough, and he said that. He didn't say that I have this, but he said in another way that my expectations were too high. Very interesting that he would say that, because he knew it came down to experience. He knew, because he'd been around. You can see there, played for NC State. He was number 1 in Pennsylvania. I think he got up to 400 or 500 in the ATP rankings at some point. And the other guy that owns the club is very experienced, and his nephew, I believe it's his nephew, was at that tournament I was just at. And I left early, so I didn't get to get any film. So very much a lot of tennis pedigree there. And that really stuck with me, though, that just him saying that I shouldn't have as high of expectations. But when you don't have experience, that's what happens. Usually you do have high expectations because you don't know how it really is. But back to my tennis club story. If I would not have went and played that guy and signed up for that hour and a half that day, I don't know that I would have started that club there. I know I wouldn't have. But I wanted to get into the third year. I knew, which I'm not going to get into details in this video, maybe in another video. I knew that it wasn't going to work. So I started because it was a bad location and it wasn't going to be, it was going to take too long. It was very boring. And I started to explore different locations. And now I had this, had this confidence, had this big head, like I can do this. I can rent these places and make this happen. And I had reached a gross of, in that second year, of almost $100,000 in gross, which definitely would have got me in the door somewhere else. So I did find 2 locations, and one of them was perfect. It was right in the middle of all of the high schools, or all the school districts. It was a perfect location, 2 courts. And like I said, that other place was renting for about $3,400 a month, and this place was renting 2 courts, 2 full courts, plus more space, for less than $60,000 a year, which would have came out to about less than $5,000 a month for 2 courts, and that would have been money. I could have easily got that place jumping for over $100,000, maybe up to over $200,000 a year, not even really having to do the lessons myself, and I probably could have made it into a $100,000 a year business. But the guy didn't rent to me. He wouldn't rent to a guy who wanted to put a tennis club in there. It was in like a strip mall for, it was zoned differently, but it was like a strip mall for these other companies. But it would have really worked. It would have worked really well for me. It was on the corner. So that didn't pan out. And there was another place in the other side of town, that I didn't, there was the same setup, 2 courts, probably even bigger, and they wanted something like $9,000 a month. And I did actually end up signing the contract on that and reneging on the deal, because I came to my senses, and that just was not going to work. That would have been, I would have made it. It would have worked, but I wouldn't have made any money, and it would have been just a circus for sure. But that's also when I realized that you need big numbers. You need big numbers to do this. The whole thing, this whole idea of giving people lessons and developing kids, etc. These kids are born like that for the most part. They were born like Donald Trump was born to be Donald Trump, and you need numbers. You need giant numbers of kids playing each other to do anything, to get anything really going of an actual like junior development camp or program. And even then, you don't know what you're going to get because it really comes down to the kids and really what they want. You have to go with you have to go with the kids that you get. So I just wanted to share that short story there. Hope you enjoy it. And if you made it this far, again, I really appreciate you subscribing to the channel right now because if I can get to 1,000 subscribers, then I can definitely go to more tournaments this year, which I would really like to do. So hope you enjoy this and have a great day.